Women have the power to transform this world. We can end crime and violence if we all agree to do one thing: share. Let's share our wisdom, share our time, share our talents, share our finances, but most of all, let's share our love. This is the Female Solution.
Good evening, and thank you for joining us on the On-Air Daily News Hour. I'm your host, Naima Latif, and this week we want to take a look at the housing crisis. Well, it is a crisis if you don't have a place to stay. Homelessness has reached epidemic proportions. It's always been among us, but it's noticeable now because so many people have immigrated to cities across America, and mayors have been forced to figure out how they're going to handle this inflow of people who don't have resources to pay for a place to stay. The shelters are overrun, and many times they're considered unsafe. So how do we fix the problem? Well, it's not like we don't have empty spaces. And it's not as though we don't have people who have the capacity to build. So why don't we put it all together? Today, we're going to take a look at a successful effort by the organization Habitat for Humanity. We reported in the On-Air Daily News a new development that is introducing housing for families in the West Pullman community. On the park, it's listed, on the map, it's listed as West Pullman, but the residents there know their neighborhood as Maple Park. So let's take a look at what Maple Park is offering for new home buyers. For the part, we see that these are new townhomes that are being constructed, and they are a part of the Habitat for Humanity's efforts in Chicago to resolve the housing crisis and to give residents an opportunity, especially if they have families, to get affordable housing. So before we look at this, let's take a look at what is an ongoing crisis when it comes to homelessness.
brother, in which we're doing this documentary for, Douglas Robinson, your death will not be in vain.
He was a heck of a great dude. And I love Doug. Doug loved me.
Just being around him, he had a good spirit. He was a healing person.
They are there.
Get SROs back.
When you give to the poor,
should not be forced out of their neighborhoods when it goes through a period of transformation.
Because there are too many people who are losing their homes to taxes because they can't pay a $1,000 tax bill.
This ongoing movement by our Monday morning mindfulness host, Zelda Robinson, on behalf of her brother, Douglas Robinson, has kept the realization of homelessness in the forefront of our minds, because so often people who don't have housing are forgotten. They're treated as if they're invisible, and yet they're right in front of our faces. And what is the reason why this crisis is existing? Things have changed. Back in the day when people could get 30-year mortgages and people were able to work a job for 30 years, and as a result, they could pay off their mortgage so that they actually lived to see being able to be in a home that they owned. But things have changed. People are not staying on jobs for 30 years. And bank loans are not as easy to come across. And many people don't have the credit rating that would make it possible. So the Maple Park community, founded in 1961, started when Tallman Bank agreed to finance 300 homes for African American World War II veterans and their families, because many banks would not loan money to African Americans. And many of the white World War II veterans were getting the home loans, but the Black soldiers came home and were often rejected. So this bank, Tallman Bank, and we must recognize that they changed many lives by allowing these World War II veterans to purchase homes. And it definitely changed the landscape of the city. The far south side, which had been Marshfield and lying vacant, was now available for new home building. And residents who wished to purchase a home were able to pick out various styles and have that home built to their specifications, their particular type of home. There were, I believe, like 8 different styles, and they had names like the Senator, the Ambassador, and you could pick out your home. There were 2-story, 1-story, split level. And so our family, like many families, moved in to the neighborhood back in 1962. Many families raising young children. And this square area, which covered the area of 115th to 119th Street, and from Ashland to Halsted, was rapidly filled by homes that were under construction, and people had a chance to actually watch the construction of their homes. So naturally, there was a dedication, a commitment to the community that they witnessed being built. And this had an impact on the children who were raised in that community, because they grew up as families, as blocks, as people who knew each other, went to the same schools. And this had an impact, especially because crime, violent crime, the way it exists now, did not exist back in the 60s. Children went outside to play, and they knew their neighbors. They went in and out of their neighbors' homes. So this was the culture of Maple Park, which was adjacent to Morgan Park. And you might remember Morgan Park if you saw the movie A Raisin in the Sun. They were buying a home in Morgan Park, which at that time was all white and not welcoming Black families. So how things have changed in Chicago since those days. So this community of Maple Park was filled with homes, but there was one area where there was a factory, big green building, many people remember. And for years, it was a workplace for local residents as well as residents who came from other neighborhoods. And then that workplace closed and that building stood vacant. That building at 115th and Morgan stood vacant for some years. Until today. That square block beginning on the west end, Morgan Street, and extending to the next block, which just before reaching Halsted, you have what used to be the Walgreens, and across the street from that used to be the Jewel parking lot. And this is significant because Jewel Foods in that area moved further west to Ashland. And during that time, as that lot was vacant, there was talk of perhaps that empty lot where the Jewel Foods used to be, possibly being used to house homeless immigrants. And we reported on that some time back when Mayor Brandon Johnson had to have this crisis dumped in his lap and saw that the immigrants were at that time being housed in the police station.
To make sure everybody who has anything in USCIS has their appointment here in Chicago. And we've already made sure that we're coordinating for City Key as well to begin the process of the vaccination.
How fast is that process going?
And here he is, meeting immigrants, seeing women with children on the floor, sleeping on the floor. And many of the immigrants from Venezuela have been targeted by ICE for removal. But Mayor Brandon Johnson had to look at the humanitarian issues involving refugees. And during their time of being housed in police stations, no one knew.
The first thing he did was when he had a rough journey, long journey, but first thing that he did.
Well, I'm glad you're able to get yourself stable and cleaned up, and we're going to work to get the support that's needed to ensure that you want this to be your home.
Le dije que está buscando todo lo posible con los recursos,
And
con la estabilidad y pues hacer todo lo posible para que puedan quedarse aquí.
our Spanish-speaking alderman provided some translation for those Venezuelans as they met with Mayor Johnson. They were transported by bus from Texas, where that mayor decided they had no place to put them. Dumped on the lap of Mayor Johnson just as he was coming into office, and sheltered at the police 12th district headquarters.
Dice que no diga dónde fue a ver el corte, pero él dice. Ya, estamos en contacto. Sí, mi oficina, mi jefe personal del comandante de aquí local. Entonces, vamos a estar aquí los viernes y vamos a tratar de pelear lo antes posible. Gracias por venir.
Gracias, claro.
Oye, hola, buenas. ¿Cómo está? Hola, bien. Yo soy el concejal Cito López y es el alcalde Johnson, jefe personal y el alcalde de la ciudad.
Yes, his name is Mayor Johnson.
Nice to meet you.
And meeting those.
It's a pleasure. ¿Cómo les gusta? Si les gusta Chicago hasta ahora. Wonderful, it's a beautiful place.
Tan bonito como en las películas.
It's beautiful just like in the movies.
Hasta los policías, todos bonitos.
Even all the police as well.
We are grateful that you're here. We're going to do everything we can to make this place real home.
Saying he's going to do everything he can to make this place a real home for you.
They're very grateful that you know these are grateful. Mucho gusto. Gracias. Nos vemos en el programa.
So this was very challenging for Mayor Johnson because no mayor had figured out how to handle the crisis with the Venezuelan refugees. And this is why there was so much initial support for ICE, because there was fear that immigrants were going to be overwhelming cities, taking over social services that should go to the longtime residents. So Mayor Johnson invited the press to accompany him as he met these immigrants that everyone feared. And his hope was to humanize the crisis so that people could see these are families. These are families that are sleeping on the floor of a police station because they have no place to go. and there's turmoil in their country. You see this woman with her baby. I mean, so many images of women with babies. Some of them would be begging on the street. Women with babies. So, in his attempt to humanize the problem and see real people that were going through this crisis, Mayor Johnson's hopes was that people would empathize and perhaps come forward with some solutions. The current federal administration has come up with a solution to remove those who are considered to be here illegally. And in that thrust have arisen many other problems.
Your opportunities will come.
Is homelessness a crime? That's a question that we're all needing to ask. Certainly, that was an eye-opening experience for Mayor Johnson. We're going to take another break and come back and look at a few other initiatives to try to deal with the housing crisis and provide a place for people to stay who have little or sometimes no income. Are we our brother and sister's keeper when it comes to providing shelter? We'll be right back after this quick break, so stick and stay, don't stray away. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us. We're going to greet our global family joining us from all over the world.
We are global transformers, changing the world from the way it is to the way it should be. We are one. Wherever we live on this earth, we are one human family. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to extend a greeting to all the members of our family, whenever and wherever you may be listening around the world. To our family in China, Ni Hao. In India, Namaste. In Japan, Konnichiwa. In Korea, Annyeonghaseyo. In Russia, Здравствуйте. In Germany, Guten Tag. In Poland, Dzień dobry. In France, Bonjour. In Spain, Hola. In Italy, Ciao. In Egypt, Ahlan wa sahlan. In Ghana, Akwaba. In Nigeria, Peleo. In South Africa, Sawubona. In Senegal, Nangadef. In Kenya, Jambo. In Israel, Shalom. In Pakistan, Afghanistan, Palestine, and Saudi Arabia, Assalamu alaikum. Greetings, and may peace be upon you all. On-air radio network, call 727-731-5192. We want to talk to you. Yes, we do want to talk to you, and we want you to talk to us too, because we need to talk when it comes to housing the unhoused. There are many empty buildings. There are many places that could be converted into housing, but there's always some kind of political shenanigans. And when the proposal was made to put the
unhoused in tents in that Jewel parking lot, the former Jewel parking lot on 115th and Halsted. Residents protested. They said absolutely not. So that plan was scrapped. But there is a need to make better use of our spaces. And there is a need to perhaps repurpose those buildings that could be used for housing. So another plan that was initiated, Chicago's homeless offered temporary shelter in a hotel. And we reported on this on the on-air daily news, where the Selena Hotel at 100 East Chestnut sits as an elegant, picturesque structure off of Chicago's Magnificent Mile, where high-end businesses attract picture-taking tourists year-round. Well, whether it was hit hard by declining patronage during the COVID years or simply feeling the effects of a declining economy, the Selena Hotel will no longer be open for business. It has instead been converted into a temporary shelter for the unhoused. Hotel Capital, which owns the Selena Hotel, filed for bankruptcy, and workers were informed they were being laid off. Michael Collier, head of the company Hotel Capital, is able to keep creditors at bay with this new plan for the hotel. The conversion of the hotel into a homeless shelter was made possible through a grant from the Illinois Department of Human Services. The decision was made amid the controversy of migrants from Venezuela receiving housing, while longtime unhoused Chicagoans continued to sleep outdoors on the ground in makeshift tents. As the Democratic National Convention approached, the question arose of what to do with the large, highly visible homeless population. And that's one of the things that often moves a city to make some changes. People are coming and we don't want our guests to see what's really going on in this city. So there have been times when raggedy parts of the city were walled off, I believe during the 1968 Democratic Convention that was held in Chicago. And the ghettos of the West Side, I believe they put up a wall. I was 8 years old then. So, well, I'm telling my age because I've already announced that I'm turning 66 today. So y'all know how old I am. So in 1968, I was 8. Yes. And I do remember, because my parents talked politics in the house all the time, so we were aware of what was happening. I remember that the city put a big fence blocking those raggedy West Side streets where things were torn up and people were angry and there were riots and all of that. So the whole idea was for the rest of the nation not to see the bad parts of Chicago. And for too long, we've been hiding the suffering. We've been hiding the populations that are living on the street and have no place to go. We wanted them to disappear, but we don't do what's necessary for them to disappear, which means to make their problem disappear. And the problem is they don't have a place to live. Housing people who are going through a crisis is very challenging. There are often reasons that led to the loss of their homes. Now, sometimes these are real issues that people have to take responsible for creating, such as a drug problem, where perhaps you are just so out of sorts, you can't pay your bills, you lost your job because you're unreliable, because you're drunk, high, or whatever the case may be, because you've got a substance abuse problem. It covers it all, or alcohol, drugs, whatever it is. But if by your own doing and not getting the proper help, you have made your life a disaster and have been evicted from your home because you have not been able to pay the rent, or you have been put out of the home where you live because the residents can no longer deal with your erratic behavior. Those are things that if a person is homeless, those problems still exist. And if they are badly behaved because of whatever emotional crisis that they have not handled, then they're not going to be invited into places where people need there to be peace and civility, because their behavior is unpredictable. And so sometimes when you see that person that's living outside, it's because they have not been able to fix whatever problem that made them not able to live among people and maintain the harmony. This is not to condemn people who have substance abuse issues. They need help, because no human being should have to live outside in the freezing cold or the rain or snow or any inclement weather, even if it's severe heat. But if a person is in a situation where they make themselves undesirable, they have a responsibility to seek help and fix the problem. So that's one of the reasons why we do see a lot of homelessness, particularly among veterans who are struggling with PTSD. And we know this because many of those who are outside, they sometimes have physical wounds, lost limbs, and so forth. And this country has not always been kind to veterans once they return home, broken mentally and physically. So that's an issue that has to be dealt with. And it has to be dealt with compassion. People trusted the government to take care of them. They put their lives at risk. They even did horrendous things in taking lives, which they suffer emotionally from those memories. And now they need a place to stay. So many of these people who were outside were veterans of wars, and they were among those that protested when this structure was offered for housing for those who were immigrants. And it was felt, this is unfair. Why are they being allowed to have housing and those of us who've been here are not? This is an issue. So how do we solve the housing problem? It's up to the leaders of government to pull together the resources and the organizations that can help. So we're going to take another break and come back and take a look again at how important it is that an organization like Habitat for Humanity has stepped forward, found space, and begun construction for homes that will house families. And how critical is that needed right now? Very much so. We'll be right back after this break. So stick and stay. Don't stray away. We'll be back with more and tell you how you may be able, if qualified, to be in line for one of those houses, or to find out what Habitat for Humanity may be doing in your city, wherever you are. It's a global organization. We'll be right back. So stay with us.
Welcome to Masterforce with Mushim Suit. Join us each week on Thursdays at 7 a.m. Central, live on Facebook and YouTube on the Female Solution page, as we dive into powerful topics designed to assist you in mastering your life force. Our conversations feature a diverse lineup of experts, all dedicated to your growth. Tune in weekly to discover new ways to elevate your spirit and raise your vibration. And remember, we are ascending. Leaders of nonprofits empowering worlds. Let's go.
But the vision that God gave me, I felt that it was time for me to step out and work on the vision that God gave me.
We need look no further. We have a unique voice. We have a unique talent pool.
Yes, we want you to come on back to the Female Solution tomorrow, Thursday morning and Thursday evening, and join our fantastic host with more insightful information and solutions you can use. Well, right now we want to figure out how do we solve this housing crisis, because there are too many people who are living pillar to post, as they say, and there are too many people who seem not to care, who are in positions where they could help, and they simply choose not to. But one of the wonderful things about the project that Habitat for Humanity has initiated in the Maple Park community, these Maple Park townhomes provide new opportunities for families who might be their first time home, or maybe they're expanding, just had a child, they need some more bedrooms. But let's take a look at some of the features that were presented. These townhomes are scheduled to be completed later this year, and it's hoped that residents may receive real consideration if they have been without housing and are first-time home buyers and have growing families. Mindy Rudin, Program Director for Habitat for Humanity Chicago, gives the residents of the Maple Park community a preview of the new construction of townhomes on 115th and Morgan in Chicago. After attending the quarterly meeting of the Maple Park Homeowners Association held at the Maple Park United Methodist Church at 11705 South Elizabeth, Ms. Rudin escorted members of the association on a tour of the homes, which are being built by Habitat for Humanity Chicago. So let's take a look at this construction project.
There will be 21 single-star garages. Oh, so this whole line is just going to be garage. Line is just garage. Okay. So okay. Garage, they'll pass the garage. All right, so 2 car garage, 1 car garage. We'll wander this way, so watch your step.
So they're going through the lot and going to take a look at these homes. That has been the history of Maple Park, where homeowners are getting a chance to actually see the construction as it happens and put their bid in for the homes that they desire. It's wonderful that the space, which used to have that big green factory and then that big empty building where the factory was and has been removed, it's good that this space has been repurposed for homes, townhomes. So, and of course, townhomes are those connecting homes, but each one is separate. And so we could get a chance to see. And even though they don't look like they take up much space inside, I think it was a good use of space because it has the things that families look for when you're considering where you want to live. Things like bedroom space and all the living room space and things that a growing family is looking for. Someplace that is comfortable for the children and near some shopping. So there are stores in the area, restaurants in the area, and naturally, new homes are going to perhaps attract some new businesses. So let's take a look at some of the qualities offered in this tour. And as they go in, they get a chance to see.
Small living room, bathroom, and then upstairs. There's always, right now, all of our houses have a first floor bedroom.
So she's showing the bedrooms. We had a chance to see the upstairs bedrooms and downstairs there, the space where they're going to be. Of course, they're still under construction. That music you heard, that was the construction workers listening to the music as they worked. We don't own the rights to that music. But what we saw were the spaces where they're going to have some very nicely designed modern amenities. Houses these days are built with the expectation you're going to need Wi-Fi and the future mind. And these houses feature 2 bedrooms upstairs, a bathroom with a shower downstairs, a bathroom with a bathtub upstairs, a living room, kitchen, and bedroom downstairs, and 2 bedrooms and a sitting room upstairs. It offers plenty of space for a family. And as we saw, there are garages being built right on the lot with the homes, which will give residents access to off the street parking. So this is another solution to the issue of housing. And what about the costs? Well, there are things that perhaps modern homes can look at. And if we plan properly, we can take advantage of new technology that makes it possible to save on energy. We're using a lot more, and there are a lot of people who are keeping up with the trends, the whole clean energy move. Now, isn't that something that we should be considering given the current situation we're in now? So we're going to take one last break and come back and talk about what are some possibilities for clean energy, reducing your energy bills in the future. We'll be right back after this quick break, so we want you to stay with us. When you see Black children misbehaving in public, being loud, disrespectful, and destructive, do you think to yourself, what they need is a good beating? That's what's wrong with these parents. They don't know how to discipline their children. Were you disciplined in that way? And did your parents also call you stupid, ignorant, and lazy? That's the way you break a slave. You terrorize them with constant fear of painful punishment. You teach them they're powerless to speak up, and you insult them so they feel like nothing. We were broken by parents who were broken, by parents who were broken. It's time to end the cycle of brokenness and bring healing to ourselves and our communities by using knowledge, respect, and love. We'll show you how. I'm Naima Latif. Get the book Slavery, the African American Psychic Trauma. On sale now. Go to www.naimalatif.com. Yes, among many things we need to do is change how we raise our children. Well, having a safe community has a big impact. And part of the safety is when parents are not under financial distress. The Maple Park community was a stable and is a stable community, but certainly the foundation was stable because these were two-parent families, veterans with their wives and children coming to purchase new homes. And so once again, with the new construction, the desire is for families because families build communities and families are what keep communities safe. And when you have those kind of neighbors that watch the children and will correct children and say, look, you need to stop doing that. Don't throw those rocks and break those windows and all those things. You need to have communities that do these things. And parents need to not be under stress about bills and finances and job losses that cause them to take their stress out on children, which is the real reason why many parents are so much leaning on corporal punishment, because too often they're upset because of financial limitations and threats to their livelihood and well-being. And a child's screaming and crying and acting out can trigger emotional upset. Well, there are ways that we can most definitely reduce costs. And we've talked about, we've got a series going on, Grow What You Eat, making use of, if you've got a lawn area where it's grass growing, well, take a portion of that and grow food. That can cut one cost. But another thing that you can do is to change your energy source. And this is something we have been reporting on, how homeowners can cut their electric bill by going solar. And we have solar panels installed on our roof, and it does cut electric costs. And there are growing companies that are urging people to switch to clean energy. Solar power is something that can power many things. You got electric cars, you got solar power cars, you got all kinds of things, and new homes are being equipped to accommodate many of these new systems. And it's important that we do that because right now we're experiencing the distress brought about with two nations that are choosing to be at odds over oil importation and access to oil, which is what's needed to create the energy that we use for so much of our functioning. There's heavy reliance on oil. And so now this conflict with Iran is affecting our lives and our sense of well-being. But how much would we be able to alleviate distress if we chose solar energy for our homes? Perhaps in the future, homes will naturally be built using solar panels. And solar panels are becoming even more efficient as the designers of them revamp and revise new designs, new ways of using that sun energy. The sun provides energy. It provides us with heat for absolutely free. We don't have to pay a sun bill. But as we have said in previous shows, that when companies find a way to charge us for what the earth gives us for absolutely free, it creates a lot of distress, which is what we're experiencing now. So in the on-air daily news, we have reminded people and given them a number to call if they're interested in considering solar energy for their home. These are some of the steps we can take futuristically to change the conditions that are causing us to be at odds locally, nationally, and internationally. We can take steps that make our homes more efficient energy-wise. We can take steps to make our homes more efficient when it comes to food production. We can take a portion of the earth that is surrounding our home. We can cultivate the soil and we can plant food that grows. We can do these things that make life easier. There are many people in the South Side communities of Maple Park and Morgan Park, because many of them came up from the South and they knew how to plant food. They knew how to plant collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens, carrots, onions, potatoes, sweet potatoes. Everybody loves sweet potatoes. Cabbage. They knew how to plant these things, and they'd set aside a portion of their yard and plant themselves a garden and eat food from the garden. That was a common thing with those generations ago that used to do that. Well, we could use a whole lot more city areas for planting. And we could use a whole lot more advice from those elders who know how to recognize edible plants. So all of these things that can strengthen our housing plans, our neighborhoods, bring peace and harmony and cooperation, we need to do these things. We have the power to choose. So we're grateful for Habitat for Humanity in choosing to build homes in the Maple Park community. We're grateful for the donation or the repurposing of a building that used to be a hotel. And there are some hotels that have closed down that are now repurposed for low-income housing. There needs to be a drive for every human being to have a home, a place to stay, a place to raise their children in safety, a place where seniors can sit out on the porch and speak to those passing by and feel safe. Habitat for Humanity is doing a wonderful job. It is a global organization with chapters in many cities and many projects that they're working on. So with that being the case, we know that there is an opportunity for people to get involved with Habitat for Humanity. And perhaps one of the things that people can do, it's a highly volunteer-driven organization, and many people may remember that President Carter was involved in Habitat for Humanity. He used to use his skills to help build. So there are people of stature, I guess you would say, who are choosing to be a part of this movement. And there are people who are choosing to volunteer in places that do need some kind of support. So we're going to give you, for those who may want to apply for a home with Habitat for Humanity, we encourage you to do so, because these are homes that are being set aside for first-time home buyers and people who are wanting to be a part of a community. People who want to lend their time and skills for the building of families that believe in the principles of harmony. Because one of the things that makes a community flourish are the people and their commitment to make it better. So we invite you to contact Habitat for Humanity, Mindy Rudin, who's a programs director, and this is her office number. You can give her a call. And if you think that your family may qualify, you can certainly take a look. That's 312-563-0296, extension 315. That's 312-563-0296, extension 315. And that is Mindy Rudin, who is programs director for Habitat for Humanity, Chicago. I'm Naima Latif. Thank you for joining us for the on-air daily news hour. Come on back tomorrow. Join us again for Master Force with Mushem Sut, and make sure you stay tuned 7 p.m. for Nonprofits Empowering Worlds with Bridget. We're excited to bring you more people with solutions. So join us then, and until next time, continue to shine your light. We've come to the end of our show today. If you missed any broadcasts, go to our website for the audio and video archives at www.thefemalesolution.com. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussions. And to our global family joining us from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, xie xie. India, zhanyavad.
Japan, arigato. Korea, kamsamnida. Russia, spasiba. Germany, danke. Poland, dziękuję. France, merci. Spain, gracias. Italy, grazie. Egypt, shukran. Ghana, madasi. Nigeria, eshe. South Africa, ngiyabonga. Senegal, jareh. Kenya, asante. Israel, toda. Pakistan, shukriya. Afghanistan, tashakur. Saudi Arabia and Palestine, shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.